My suit has now completely drained of air. I'm getting damaged in the hatch. Oh, wait a minute. Is that it? This wreck is so much bigger than the other one. And guys, look what I've just seen. Hello everybody, Mr. Stixman here, and welcome to episode 16, part 3 of our Stormworks career mode Let's Play. Now, as you may know if you've seen parts 1 and 2, we are now going to dive for our second and final shipwreck, which is only about 200 meters from our current position. But on the way over here, guys, I did find a crate, and so I'm going to show you footage of that right now. And what we received was 2 radar dishes. I don't know if we're ever going to use those, but we got 2 of them anyway, and 12 research points, guys. So no money, unfortunately, but not bad overall. Now, hopefully this other shipwreck should be quite fun to explore, but with any luck, guys, we might find a second treasure chest down here as well. That's what we're really going for here, and I'm sure there are plenty more shipwrecks out there, so in the future, we will of course uncover those if we can, and then explore them. But this is the only other shipwreck we currently have on the map. And also, at some point in this part 3 here, I'm going to actually discuss what we're going to do in the next episode, and beyond that as well. But first, let's go for a dive. Right, so as you can see, it's raining yet again, guys. The rain has not stopped. However, it is pretty calm at the moment, and it is morning as well. It's almost mid-morning at the moment. But we're going to go and dive down right now, and hopefully we can surface again before any big waves turn up, and ideally before it gets really dark as well. So let's get straight into this. And I'm going to straight away, let me see, do I have enough lights on? Yes, I do. So we are going to just press dive and go straight underneath. Now the actual shipwreck is not very far away, as you can see on the map. This is where it is. It is the Mr. New Jersey shipwreck, and that is only 222 meters from here. So again, it's about 82 meters deep, I think, as well. Now, what happened last time was not the most ideal situation. Of course, we actually kind of landed... well, I was trying to float above the shipwreck, and I ended up filling the airlock and then actually sinking down onto the wreck itself and causing a lot of damage, as you guys may well know if you saw part 2. So now we're actually going to try and land on the ocean floor, but on a nice sandy flat part, and I know that I can actually power off that if I need to, or just empty our ballasts, and it'll be no problem at all. So let's see, how deep are we? 8.5 meters at the moment. And depth is, okay, depth under the hull is about 68 meters. So let's go down to about 10 meters, and then I'm just going to use our propeller actually, because I think the ballast is now full. Yes, it is. So we can start to empty the ballast a bit and level out. And yeah, let's put it up to 20% because we're going to use 20% power in a moment. But what we want to do is stop descending to the bottom of the ocean. And it's nearly there. We're just about ready to be balanced. There we go. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, and it probably isn't perfect. But let's get some power going. We have full battery now, guys. I have motored all the way over here. It took ages, because this thing is not very fast. And because we've limited the whole motor to 10% power, and then we're only using like 20 to 30% of that. So kind of like 2 to 3% of the actual motor's power. But we do have full battery, and we do have about half a generator tank left as well. So we have plenty of survival ability here. And we're moving towards our waypoint, guys. Of course, we have to go actually under that waypoint, because that waypoint is, I think, about sea level. But now let's put on some lights as well, and just check where we're facing. We want to point down here. So hopefully you guys can see that. But, oh, that's a bit bright, wasn't it? There we go, just pointing down. Our depth is 12.5 meters. Okay, we want to have surround spots on. Lovely. Okay. Oh, look at that eel. Or is that an eel? I think it is. It nearly swam right through us there. Right, okay. So 1.33 meters per second. But that's fine. Look at that. Already 140 meters away. That's absolutely fine. And I just remember that last time we didn't actually use these big spotlights on the fins, so we could give them a go this time if they're working. They should be. I've also corrected the painting errors from the last part of this episode, so hopefully it should look good as new now. No damage at all, no painting errors, but time will tell if that will remain that way. But let's point down a bit more now, because we're getting fairly close, look. 90 meters away from the waypoint. Okay, and do we have our front spots on? Yep, we do. Okay, looking good so far. Just going to check the map in a minute as well. But we are now 20 meters deep, and we've got another 60 or so to go here. So before we land on the sand, we are going to have to actually kind of circle around the ship a bit and just make sure, you know, we want to find a really flat, safe area, basically. We don't want to land on any rocks or anything like that. So we're going to be very careful when we get there. So it seems like we can remain balanced at about 11,500 litres here. Although, of course, it's not perfect. We don't mind too much at this stage. But we're going to point even further down now. And I'm just going to have a look around the sub. Oh, wait a minute. Is that it? Are we under it? Oh, we are. Oh, goodness me. Guys, we're directly over that thing now. Look at that. I hope you can see that. It's right underneath. And it is a completely different shipwreck, which I'm assuming is the case for all the shipwrecks. I'm hoping they're all different. But yeah, this certainly does look a bit different here. So I'm going to point down and then kind of spin around, actually. And we can always use our ballast to sink the rest of the way if we need to. But down here, and our lights are actually now lighting up the seabed, we can actually see some flat areas here. So I'm going to perhaps put the sub in front of the ship. How deep are we? 50 meters. I'm really glad that's a different shipwreck, guys, and not just the same thing. That makes it much more exciting. But I didn't notice any treasure chests. I don't know if you guys did. We'll have to swing round and have a look in a minute. But it looks promising. It looks very promising. And it actually seems like this shipwreck might be a bit less damaged than the other one. The other one was a complete mess. But this one seems to be more intact, shall we say. So, oh, what was that? It's a fish. That scared me. There's a swordfish down there as well. So we're currently turning right as sharply as we can. And there is our waypoint. So we've gone way past it, actually. Let's, guys, I'll just bring you back in when we're actually closer to our shipwreck. Okay, guys, and here it is, just coming into view now. I can't really make out what that is right there. Is that the main hull? Is it some sails? I'm not sure. But I hope you guys can see that. And I'm just going to go very carefully over the top here, hopefully avoiding any masts and things. And we want to find a good place to rest our sub. Now this is a big shipwreck, actually. This is much bigger than the previous one. Well, there we go, just coming into view, much better now. Okay, here we are then. Here is maybe the bow. I think that's the bow of the ship. Yeah, okay, that is definitely the bow, and I'm now going to turn right and potentially just put the sub down right next to it at the bow here. I think that would be a good idea. So I'm going to reduce our power. We've got 93% battery. Going to shut off the power right there. Now I don't want to put the sub on a really steep slope. So I'm just going to dive down right here, fill up the ballast all the way again, and it is already full. 0 power going to the motor. And we're just going to sink right onto the sand if we can. Just make sure that we are going down, and yes we are. Okay, I'm actually going to put the power back on and just see if I can spin round a bit. And the reason for that is that we could use our fin spotlights right now, just to see if we can highlight any interesting points of this ship. So I'm just trying to operate the spots here. Is it? There we go. There we are. We're just... it's quite tricky to see, but we are highlighting the stern there. There's a massive rock right there. That is not good. So I'm going to try and avoid that as best as I can. In fact, let's reverse around the other way now. Okay, now we're coming to rest just about here. We're almost there, guys, on the sand. Yeah, so unfortunately, because it's such a big shipwreck, and I don't really want to land on the ship itself, even though we might actually be able to do that. But I don't think it'd be a good idea, especially as we know what happens when we don't land in the right place. So I am going to stay here, and we're almost on the ground now. There we go, a little bit more to go, and then what we can do is fill up the airlock. And I will try and leave my spotlights on the ship itself as best as I can. There we are, almost there, guys. Very slowly but very surely. So our battery level still 93%. Very, very good. I'm actually going to... So the motors are now off, whoops, but I will just reset it to about 20 just for when we take off again later. Fantastic. And there we go. About 1 meter away now. And then we can get into the airlock, open the hatch, and explore this second shipwreck. There we are, done. Now, are we going to sink a long way in? No, that's fine. Sometimes, guys, you can actually sink a very long way into the sand, and that is not good, of course. We don't want that at all. But what I have got here, of course, is these three, well, the keel and 2 fins as well. And that should help us to stay really flat. So now, if I just move my spotlight around a bit, there we go. It's not going to do a great job. There we go. That's not bad, is it? Okay, now let's turn off everything that we don't need. And I might actually turn off my nav lights down here. But we'll leave everything else on, I think. Okay, let's go then. Let's go into the airlock here. We need to put our diving gear on as well. And we're going to fill this up with our pumps. It's very quick and easy to fill up. There we are. Much slower to empty. But that's okay. We're not too deep at the moment. And as soon as that room is full up, guys, we're going to be quite quick because, of course, now our air is limited. It's okay, but it is slightly limited. And I do have to turn the pumps off, of course. And guys, look what I've just seen down there. Yes, we have found another treasure chest. Oh, thank goodness for that. I'm so pleased. Let's explore it first and see what we can find. I know it's very dark down here. I'm so sorry about that, guys. Hang on. Oh, there we go. I didn't have my flashlight on. Now we can see a bit better, but it will still be fairly dark, unfortunately. There is the treasure chest here, but we're now inside the stern of the ship, I think. Okay, and we're just going down this in barnacles on the side of the hull here. We might as well go along and around the ship first. What if we find 2 chests down here? That would be pretty cool. But yes, now we may see sharks because this wreck is so much bigger than the other one. It's going to take longer to explore, and we might even see some sharks, which is very, very dangerous stuff. What's that? That's a fish. Okay. Some of the fish are pretty big. And yes, it's quite worrying actually. Now we can defend ourselves by going inside the ship and inside the sub. But let's try to avoid them if possible. We're now in, I think it's a cargo hold actually that we're in right now. And we've used up about 10 to 20% of our oxygen. We're currently going towards the bow under the deck. But I can't see anything in here at the moment. No, nothing else in here. So now let's go back the other way. And I think, guys, we may have seen the entire shipwreck right now. So we're sort of in the main part of the boat at the moment. Yeah, if you can see that as a big sort of rectangular shape, that seems to be a large cargo hold of some sort. There's the funnel, which, can we go in there? You can actually. Yep, you can go right through the funnel, and then our chest is not far away. So we are now on the lookout for sharks, guys. But yes, I think we have seen the whole ship now. So what I'm going to do is go straight over to the chest and see what we get in this thing. Please be good. I need money, guys. I really need money. Okay. Oh well, actually, it's okay. It's okay. A ski, just one. I guess we can make some kind of mono ski vehicle with that. And what was it? Two grand, maybe 2.5 grand there, and then 9 research points as well. You know, the research points, we do need those at the moment. That's pretty handy stuff. But that is it, guys. That is the final shipwreck of this episode. And again, we could find some more in future episodes, but just for now, that is the last one. So we're going to open... Oh, the hatch is already open, and I don't know if there are any sharks around by there. I can't see any. I mean, I do have sharks turned on, but I don't think... What's that? It's an octopus. I don't think we've ever seen a shark in this series yet, which is very lucky, to be honest. But we have been careful to avoid them. Anyway, let's close the hatch and empty this thing. Empty the airlock, and as you can see, the water is now leaving. Not a fast rate, but you know, it's it's kind of okay. Right, guys, so I'm going to bring you back in when the airlock here is completely empty and we are ready to surface. Oh no, guys, look, the air is almost out on my suit, and again we are having the same problem. But this time, if we do open the hatch here, which we can do to share the water between the two rooms, the sub is not going to shift around and get damaged. At least it shouldn't do on flat ground here. So I'm really hoping that I don't have to do that, but look how much air there is left. Now there is one thing I can do before we have to open the hatch, and I'm actually going to do that in just a short while here. Before the air on this suit runs out, I am going to then put it back into the shelf and let it charge up, and I'm going to use up my character's oxygen, and that will buy us a bit of time here. My suit has now completely drained of air, so we are recharging it and using my character's supply, and that is the best we can do without losing any health at all. It really has only given us a few percent of air there, so we are... Oh look, hang on, I found it, guys. We've got air. We've got it right at the top here. I don't want to get stuck in this hatch, but somehow we have found a pocket of air. I'm going to have to do that. Oh man, oh man, did you see that, guys? I'm getting damaged in the hatch. But I am able to gain air as well. This is crazy, guys. This is really bad. Okay, I'm going to let the character drift up. This is what I'm having to do. I'm going to let the character drift up on its own by floating, and then quickly press control when it gets up there, just to make sure I don't go into the hatch and hurt my head, basically. And I am getting really badly damaged here, but it might be the only way we can survive. I'll just do that until we've got enough air. Okay, I'm going to have to take the suit back, I think. This is really, really silly stuff right here. Okay, we're almost alright, I think. We're almost okay. He's still floating into the hatch, annoyingly. Can we go over here? Oh, that's better. Right. I mean, we're kind of cheating the system a bit. There was an air pocket. I don't know why the head is going through the hatch and damaging us. But we found a nice air pocket now. Everything is fine, guys. The sub is not going to get damaged as far as I know. We just have to wait for it to empty. This could have gone a lot worse, but yes, we are fine. Now, guys, what's interesting is I think we can hear it raining from the bottom of the ocean. We're definitely still down here. We're not on the surface yet. We haven't somehow magically appeared on the surface, but I think when you're in a space of air, you can actually hear the ocean, the waves, and the rain, it seems, as well, even on the surface, which is a bit weird. It's all doom and gloom down here and on the surface, it seems. But anyway, guys, now we're safe. I'm going to empty the airlock, as I said before, and I'll bring you back in when we can get ready to surface the actual sub itself. And we're done, everybody. The airlock is now fully empty, and yes, you can still hear the rain, but we are, I can assure you, at the bottom of the ocean at the moment. So now let's go and open this hatch. There you can see it's completely empty there. All the pumps are turned off. And as oh, I forgot that was on a timer. We put the diving gear back on now. As we back through here, you'll see the lights turn off when we get out of the room. Automatically, the door closes, and it looks pitch black out there. In fact, it is nighttime above as well. But we are going to surface. There is actually a more clear view of the ship. I think it seems to be a bit better now. I mean, if I just use my fin spotlights here, you get a better overall view of the ship. However, it's not completely lit up, is it? But I think we landed in a good place, guys. It's fairly flat here, and we didn't hit any rocks. Okay, so now we're actually going to finally see this thing surface properly, hopefully anyway. So literally all I'm going to do is press the surface button. We have 90% battery right now, and we're just going to press that. And as you can see now, water is ejecting from the ballast tanks a bit quicker than the airlock ejected water, because we now have 16 pumps, I think, and they're in groups of 4. So 4 pumps per outlet, and it's just a bit more powerful against the pressure of the water on the outside of the sub. So it will take a fair amount of time, but it won't take anywhere near as long as before, and with any luck we can start floating before we actually empty that tank completely, of course. It shouldn't be long until we start floating, and then we can just power ourselves up pretty quickly, and when we're up to the surface, that water is actually going to eject really fast because the pressure will be a lot less. So as soon as we can use our propeller, we're just going to use that and get us up there really quickly. Now, while the ballast tank is emptying, guys, I want to explain what I want to do in the next episode, because I really want to go to the Sawyer Isles and the Arctic as well, but we need to start getting ready and preparing for that. So I need to make money, and in the next episode, that is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to try and focus on a specific mission that we haven't done before, if we're lucky enough to get it at a good time. But also, I'm going to do a lot of missions kind of off camera, but I'm going to show you exactly what we get. I'm going to show you footage of me handing in those missions and getting the rewards. And hopefully we're going to make a ton of money, because I think we're going to have to go over to these brand new locations with about probably $250,000, $300,000, okay? Which is about 3 times at least what we have now. And the reason why we need so much money when we get over there is because we're going to have to pretty much buy somewhere. We're going to have to buy a base as soon as we get there. And ideally, guys, it'll be a base with an airstrip, because I would like to build a plane quite soon, actually. And I've got some ideas for that. So, but of course, we need the airstrip first. And also, we just need a base over there, a workbench that we can use. Now, that might be a really good way of traveling up to the Arctic. I mean, we could make a train, and we've unlocked the train wheel assembly. We could use trains to get to both of those locations, actually. But I do quite like the idea of making an aircraft. So yes, in the next episode, we're going to try and earn a ton of money. And then in the episode after that, hopefully, guys, we can actually travel first of all to the Sawyer Isles. And, oh guys, we're going up. Yes, I think, yes we are, look. I just noticed that. You guys probably saw that before I did. But we are now surfacing very slowly but surely. And I'm not going to use the propeller yet because we might hit the rocks. So we'll go up a bit further. But the more empty the ballast, the quicker we are going to ascend. So I'll just keep that emptying for now. And as you can see, we're now at 77 meters, but that is going to reduce as we go. But as we're rising, there is one problem which maybe we can overcome, maybe we can't. But you guys might know that there is a mission you get which is based over at the Sawyer Isles, and you get like 30 minutes to do it only. And it's kind of the one that introduces you to the Sawyer Isles. So you get it sort of near the starting area, and then you have to travel over there really quickly, and I think it's some kind of transport mission. I can't really remember, to be honest. But I believe we didn't do that mission near the beginning of the series. We turned it down because there was just no way that we could have completed it in the time. It's just impossible back then. But I haven't seen it come up since, and so that might be that we can't get that mission back. And I'm just hoping that we can still get missions for the Sawyer Isles when we sort of uncover it on the map. I'm really not sure. But hopefully that's the case. But in any case, I want to get over there and buy somewhere there because I just love that place so much. It's really cool. And there's probably a lot to explore. More shipwrecks, hopefully. But also we'll probably find a ton of crates on the way and on the land as well. And yeah, it's just an awesome place to explore. So we're going to aim to go there next when we have enough money. That is really the next target for us in this series. But guys, now we are ready to turn on our propellers, and I'm going to put a bit more, maybe 25% power, I guess, because we're going to start tilt up now. And I'm now going to put the power on, and if we watch the ballast here, that should empty faster and faster, and you can see that, look at that, the speed is increasing hugely there. It's going to empty very soon. And what is the depth? We'll just point up a little bit. If I turn my, there we go, turn the flashlight off, we can see better. We are now pointing up, and we are only 40 meters down now. That is reducing kind of slower than I expected, actually, but it's fine. The ballast is now 8,300 litres full, and is 55 meters beneath us there. But that is the one to look out for. We're almost at the surface, guys. This time, 0 damage. Thank goodness for that. And we are going about 2 knots at the moment. 89% battery, nothing to worry about. And we do have the backups if we need it, but we don't need it currently. Now, it is going to be pitch black up the top, guys. Unfortunately, it is the middle of the night at the moment. So we're not going to see much when we get there. But here we are. You can see that. There's the surface. And we can turn the power off instantly. And we should be floating. Now, that ballast is emptying as quick as possible now, because there is minimal pressure against the fluid ports there. And look at that. We've already emptied 3,000 litres in just a few seconds there. Done, guys. We can turn off the pumps. Airlock is empty. This cabin here is empty as well. That is perfect. Now, 89% battery. What we can do straight away then is turn on our generator, and with any luck it should be fine. As you can see, we've used up 1 whole tank already, but that one is almost completely full, and that will last about an hour, that one. So, good. It started. Okay, good. Yep. There may have been a bit of water in the system, in the air intake, but as you can see, that's now been evaporated or kicked out somehow by the pressure. And now the generator will increase up to about 27. And the fuel is going down. That's all working fine. And that battery will gradually increase up to full. Okay. Alright, guys. Now what I'm going to do next is actually head back to base, which is our new base, of course, just over here. We bought this fairly recently. And I'm going to set a waypoint for right there. So I'm going to head back there, and it will take a while, so I'm not actually going to film that. Unless I find any crates on the way, then of course I will show you exactly what I get. But yes, otherwise, guys, I'll see you back at base. Okay, guys, we're home finally, and it took me ages to get home. So what I thought I'd do right now is actually take you through some of the problems that I've had on the sub, and how I'm going to improve upon those when I build my next submarine, whenever that might be, okay? So let's go into the workbench and take a look. Right, now, first of all, you're going to notice a brand new thing added to the game today, actually, as I'm recording this. And all of these warning signs are all over my sub, apparently telling me that things are wrong with it. I don't believe there are actually many or any things at all wrong at the moment, but it seems to be highlighting them. But if you look down here on the right-hand side, editor warnings, and you can just toggle that on and off here, which is really useful, actually. I do like this. However, it seems to be picking up things which are not actually wrong. So I don't really know what's going on there. But anyway, we don't need that right now, so let's ignore it. I'll turn that off, and let's get into the sub itself. First of all then, I think if I'm building a smaller submarine next time, I might actually have some kind of transport system for it, either a boat which can tow it, or maybe some kind of barge which I can put the sub on and then tow that, because this particular sub is actually not very fast, and it's fine for diving and exploring underwater. There's nothing wrong with it, and we did travel about 10 kilometers in it. It worked, but it was just really slow, and we did use up a lot of generator fuel, and it just took ages. So yeah, next time, either, you know, if I have a small submarine a bit like this, or even smaller, I will possibly have another mode of transport for it. If I had a bigger submarine, I'll have more options to have more power and energy in there, and maybe more fuel tanks as well, and therefore I might not need anything to support it. But anyway, that's the first thing that comes to mind in terms of improvements for next time. Now, another problem was when we were on the way back, actually, it got a bit choppy a few times, and the air intake got completely covered in water because the waves were much bigger than me. They were towering over me. Now, luckily, the generator never actually cut out, but every time the waves came over the bow, the water went into the air intake, which is just here. And of course, yeah, it kept trying to flood the engine. And therefore, I was losing a lot of power and fuel as well as a result, trying to recharge the batteries. And even though I was charging them, actually I was losing charge. So it was a really, really bad situation, and I did run out of fuel before we got back, annoyingly. Whereas normally I would have actually been able to get back with fuel left in the tank. So that was a problem. In the end, I didn't have to tow this thing. We did get back because it lasts quite a long time on battery, actually. It's quite impressive. But that was, again, another issue. I'd probably move the air intake higher up if I could on the design. But the design is the next issue, guys. Now, I'm actually very happy with this sub, but I do need to say something here about building a submarine that works, okay, and actually making the build easier for yourselves. And I wish that I'd actually started building this thing with thinking more practically. Now, the way I started building this thing was completely by the aesthetics and the design itself, because I had this image in my mind of this kind of shape here, this sci-fi sort of shape. And that is literally what I built right away when I started this thing. And of course, then it all unfolded from there. I had no idea how the rest of the sub was going to look. I even had designs of this which looked a bit more like a pod racer from Star Wars, if you guys remember those. It was crazy. It was so different. And this shape and the size of this sub really made everything so difficult, because I've got one ballast tank inside which kind of runs all the way from here to not the very back, but about here. And because, of course, I've got a lot of different components in there, like the generator engines, the batteries, and so on, and the actual sort of cabin here itself, it's not an even shape. And so the ballast tank is, the weight of it is a bit all over the place, really. And so that took a bit of time to balance out, and I had to use as many tricks as I could to make sure that when we sink down, we remain quite level in the water, because it was the bow was tipping down or the tail was tipping down, and it was all very difficult to control. And that would have been much easier if I actually had a separate ballast tank, which is only the ballast, and I had nothing else in it, unless they were very simple shapes. For example, you could have some batteries in a ballast tank, and it would be a kind of easy to balance that because they're nice, simple, small shapes there. But I've got all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the ballast tanks of this thing, and it's very complicated, and it just took a lot of trial and error and time. So yes, it was possible in the end, and I'm very happy with the result, but the time was an issue. It took ages to get this thing working, and also there were limitations in, for example, the generator, and it took me ages to fit in these components and change them around. Like, obviously, as you're building things, you then realize what you need to change, and I had to change my generator and put gearboxes in and then take them out and then put them back in again, and having everything so cramped up in there makes that even harder and take a lot longer. So again, just to reiterate that, I probably think about practical things. It's difficult because if you want a vehicle or a building to look a certain way, really, you should just go for it, you know, and just build what you've got in your mind. That's really fun and very expressive, and that's awesome and very unique and personal to you. So I'm not saying don't do that. I certainly will continue to do that, but on my next submarine, I'd probably think about the very essential pieces first, and then work the design sort of within and around that at the same time, just so that the build takes me a lot less time and it's much easier, and it probably just work better in the end anyway. So I'd actually probably start with the ballast tanks, as it's one of the main features of the sub, and I try to keep it a relatively simple shape, and if possible separate to the actual hull, if you know what I mean, so I can rebalance that as I need, or even like I could split that ballast tank into two sections and then fill it up with different amounts of water to keep them balanced. You know what I mean. You just get a lot more control that way. So anyway, those are my thoughts, guys, and there's probably a lot more improvements I can make to this. But I am very happy with it, and we'll hopefully be using this more. And as I say, we might even build another submarine, possibly in Season 2 actually. And I do have plenty of other ideas and plans for different builds, guys, which can potentially do the same or similar jobs as this submarine right here. So I've definitely learned a lot, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this sub. But if we do find any shipwrecks, as I say, going over to the Sawyer Isles in the Arctic, we're going to, of course, try and explore those as well. If not in Season 1, in Season 2 when the next major update releases. But moving on from here, and as I said earlier, we now want to think about going to the Sawyer Isles and we want to go to the Arctic as well. And we're going to try and do both in Season 1. But again, you know, if one of them has to be in Season 2, that's fine. We're going to do it anyway, guys. But we can't do them all at the same time, of course. We want to try and experience it all properly and not just rush through everything and skip it all. So in the next episode, we now need to go and make a ton of money, guys. I mean, we really do need... I'd like to have about 250 to 400,000, I think. I reckon that would be kind of more than we need, but actually we are going to be using it, you know. So basically, when we get to the Sawyer Isles, we need to buy, you know, a train station or a dock or an airstrip up there. When we get to the Arctic, we need to do the same over there. Otherwise, we won't have a base of operations to operate from and do the missions in those particular areas. And in the Arctic, for example, there might be missions that do require aircraft. Now, luckily, this helicopter right behind me here can operate from a dock, so that's really handy. There are missions, at least I know in the Arctic, that do really benefit from aircraft, so we've got that covered already. We don't actually have to buy an airstrip, although we might want to, you know, travel up there by plane, for example, which is going to be a lot faster than this helicopter. And if we want to land that, I might have to just crash land it into a dock and despawn it there. There's always ways of doing things, guys. But if we can, we'll try and do things properly. And so, yes, we might want to buy an airstrip at one or both of those places in order to use a plane. But that is all we have time for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. The like and subscribe buttons are there if you enjoyed the video. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.